Welcome back to the Chasing Tone podcast again. This is Brian, again with Blake Wyland of the Tonemob podcast, his own little podcast that you should be checking out if you're not. And, actually, Blake.
Yes.
I had someone that emailed me today and said they liked our, 50-some minute podcast that we did last week, I think?
Yeah.
They liked it. They said they want more of it. And I responded with, I don't know how to put this kindly, but if you knew Blake, you wouldn't want to talk to him that long.
Right.
He's just not a nice guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that one. I don't think that most people would like to talk to me for that extended period of time because I tend to start voicing my opinions at some point, and they can be a little harsh.
So I understand you're married. How in the world did you ever get a woman to put up with you? You ever ask yourself that?
Yes, on a daily basis. I'm very, very confused by this whole thing, and we are approaching our 8th anniversary.
Wow.
And I'm like, I can't believe she has tolerated this nonsense for this long.
Oddly enough, we got to talk about the similarities between us. I will be celebrating an 8th anniversary as well soon.
Look at that. Okay, this is getting weird. I mean, like, really?
It is. We're brothers from another mother, as the kids used to say.
I think they still say it.
Do
somewhere. Yeah, somewhere.
Okay, I don't know. Speaking of kids, so apparently there was an award show recently.
Ah, yes. There sure was. Mm-hmm. I believe it's the iHeartRadio Music Festival you're about to speak of.
I think so. I watched about 3 seconds of it last night, turned to my wife, who, as a side note, I will say, when she told me yes when we got married, I kind of looked at her like, seriously? You do? I didn't expect that.
Tricked you.
No, but, I turned it on for about 3 seconds, and then I paused it, and I turned to my wife, and I said, remember when country music was country music?
Oh, boy.
And I started giving that old man speech, and...
Oh, man.
Start open up my door and yell at the kids, get off my lawn, that sort of thing,
Yeah.
But, really, it's weird because, like, country turned to, like, Southern rock and then turned to pop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then it turned to bad pop.
Yes, and then bad pop, which is a shame, man. It's I don't know. It would be like if I had I don't know, an investor or something like that, or like a record company. If I had an investor that said, "You are only going to make 3-knob overdrives for the rest of your career," like at some point, as as the designer creator guy, I would just be like, oh man, why can't I just why I want to do it delay though, No, only 3-knob overdrives because we don't want to confuse everybody, and we've determined from our studies that everybody wants 3-knob overdrives.
Can I put a bright switch in there? Could I please put a bright switch in there?
No, our studies have shown that people do not like bright switches, and to me, that's kind of like the record industry.
Oh, it is.
You have all these artists that actually love real country, and they're they have teams of songwriters, and over the years I've got to know several of them pretty well, and I've actually talked to them about this, and I can't name names unfortunately, but a lot of them when they're writing with that in mind, so they know what they have to write in order to get it to go through the record company, right?
Right.
And a lot of them don't like it either,
Yeah, this is a subject that we've talked about before. Actually, the first podcast we ever did together, which was my show, we talked about it.
We won't go too deep into it. I have to interject that before I start with where I'm actually trying to take this here.
Yeah. I just want to put out a couple things about that. So, first of all, country music is near and dear to my heart. I grew up listening to it. That's what my dad listened to. He's a big Wyland.
Did you listen to country and western?
Country and western, yeah.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
Yes,
just
both of them together.
Okay.
So like he's a big Waylon Jennings fan. Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard. Seen Merle Haggard live once, it was great. That's like that. Love that stuff. Love it. And fast forward to today, I have to at my job. Whenever I'm in the office, they have a radio playing. And guess what station it's on? It's on the quote-unquote country radio station. And
how do you deal with that?
I honestly, they used to not have a radio in there when I first started the job. And I was fine, like, being in there on the computer, like, doing my computer stuff. And honestly, it grates on me so bad that like I stay out of the office as much as humanly possible now, because it drives me absolutely insane. And I'm like, I try to like be cool about it because that's what everybody wants to listen to, and try to be a team player and all that good stuff. But one time, a guy, the assistant gal came in, and she was like, "Hey, what radio station we want to listen to today?" And one of the guys said, "There's only one radio station. The country station." And I looked at him and I said, I've never one time heard a country song in this office. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I hear twangy bad pop that talks about pickup trucks, moonlight, and Shake It For Me Girl, and it's an abomination to even call it country music.
Yeah.
So I won't go too far down that road. I do want to say,
I wish I could name names, because there's like so many stories I've heard from guys on the road about, singers that walk out on stage and like, "How y'all doing? Hi, my name is so and so, and we're going to show you guys some country songs tonight."
Right.
And then they get off stage and like, "Hey, so I got a question. Like the accent's totally gone. It was all an act."
It's terrible.
And that's not everybody, but that has happened before.
And that's not surprising, because if you talk to somebody that actually has an accent like that, they don't sound that way. Like, they don't sound fake and weird. But I do want to point out a couple guys, though, that I think they have one guy in particular I think has real potential to really help maybe drag things back a little bit. And it's not Chris Stapleton, although I do think he's good.
Yes.
I think he's very good.
Yes. Agreed.
Have you ever heard of a guy called Sturgill Simpson?
Yes. Yep.
I absolutely love his music, and I think that he has some potential to maybe help right the ship a little bit.
I agree.
And
actually, when I found Sturgill Simpson, I guess I was late to the party. And this is actually, I think Ben Haggard, which is Merle's son, Ben has a Snapchat, and he, one of his snaps, he was listening to some music or something. And so I just sent a message. I'm like, "Who is that? That's great." And he's like, "That's Sturgill Simpson."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So I looked it up online. I'm like, "This is great!" And so I started texting like everybody I knew, and they're like, "Well, yeah, of course. You just now hearing of him?" And I'm like, "Yes, sorry."
The guy is amazing, and his I always fail on his guitar player's name. He's a European dude. I watched Sturgill live one time.
He used to be a metal player.
I thought so. Yeah, that sounds right. Man, that guy can work a Telecaster.
But you would not know it, because he does not play like a metal player. Like, he's got it down. I can't remember his name either. Super great player, though. Amazingly great.
I'm gonna have to that's gonna bug me. When I talk about this podcast in social media posts, I will correct this error, because he's phenomenal. And when he's watching him live, he's one of those guys who is even better. Like, my jaw dropped when I watched those guys live. Like, I couldn't believe what he was doing. Yeah. And he does these, like, I thought there was a steel guitar player in the band. I really did. I didn't realize it was all him.
Okay, got it. Laure Jomé.
Yep, that's it. There you go. Perfect.
You're welcome.
I'm glad you have a computer in front of you.
It's the power of Google.
Because if I had a computer in front of me right now, that would mean I was in the office and I'd have to listen to the bad country station. So
I am tied to a computer most of the time.
Are you like connected via USB cable to your brain?
No, but if it was possible, I would. I mean, like, this is kind of silly, but if I have the capability of having an iPhone like stuck in my arm or something, I'll probably do it at some point, because like I rely on it so much.
Oh, I agree. I don't know if I would stick it in my arm, but
I mean, we could start talking about the singularity and Ray Kurzweil and all that stuff, but
let's talk about that.
That's probably going to bore a lot of people, so I won't go down that path too far. But
either that or freak them out.
I will say that. So Nick Jonas was on the show.
Speaking of good guitar players, is that what you're trying to say?
Nick Jonas. It's all over Facebook. It's all over Twitter. It's all over everything. I've seen people blast him like why is he there? I've seen other people the other way thinking at least he's trying that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I know my thoughts. What's your thoughts on it?
So my thoughts are this. Don't care one lick about the Jonas Brothers or Nick Jonas's music. I have never listened to more than like 2.5 seconds of any of their stuff. Not for me. I'm assuming the dude has a fair amount of talent to even get to that. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of untalented people that are famous, but I'm assuming that he has some qualities that make him a marketable pop star. So, and the guy, to my knowledge, has at least strummed a 6-string on more than one occasion.
I would think so. I mean, I'll just full disclosure. I don't know any of the Jonas Brothers music, or I don't know anything about them other than they're a thing to a group of people.
Right.
So I couldn't tell you what kind of music they play or whether there's even guitar in it. I don't know. But I do know, at least from watching the video, that it's possible maybe he was really nervous because it looked like kind of a pentatonic little simple lick he was playing.
Yeah.
And he hit it was nowhere near it was totally different country of that scale. You know what I mean?
Completely off.
I mean, even if you're playing blindfolded, you should be able to pretty much play a pentatonic scale.
You should be able to get real close.
But I will say that I have been, and I'm not professional by any means, but I've been playing in a club or bar or whatever, and I think I'm in D, and I've actually shifted up a little bit, and I'm like, oh crap, wrong key, wrong scale,
Yep.
So I mean, stuff like that does happen, and I think maybe that's what happened to him.
I mean, I got a couple theories. I think it could have been that. Where I was going was he strummed a guitar before. I'm pretty sure. He probably knows the basics, right? I'm just gonna give him that. That kind of.
Yeah, he's got
credit.
A Telecaster, so he's on a good start. At least
and it's a good looking guitar. It is a good looking Tele. So, I'm just gonna say that I think that something went wrong. I think either he just made a mistake and it completely freaked him out, or he couldn't hear something. There was something wrong with his in-ear monitors, or something. Something technical probably went wrong. That's my theory.
That could happen, but I still stand by my theory that if you're playing a pentatonic scale, you know where it's at. I would think.
Well, I don't know. I couldn't begin to tell you. I know that I'm not a very good guitar player, but I can fake it better than that. So that's what I can say. I guess.
Right.
I could probably. Of course, I also have never played in front of that many people. I probably would just flub all over the place just like that. If I had that many eyeballs watching my playing live.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say this, to the public, because I guess Andy came out with it on Facebook, right? Or
okay.
Twitter or somewhere. Andy Wood, who plays with the Rascal Flatts. he said something. I think this is a direct quote here.
Okay.
This isn't meant to be an insult or come across as some sort of vicious attack, but when a pop star steps into the territory of all the guys behind him at the moment, on stage the rest of the night, etc., he butchers a featured moment that could have gone to a competent player and shows the world that, hey, maybe this guitar thing is harder than Brad Paisley makes it look. Give credit where it's deserved. Don't give Nick Jonas a featured guitar solo. It devalues what the rest of us do. Nick, you're a pop star and accomplished singer. Stick to those two things or practice the guitar. Do you agree with that?
Totally.
Totally.
100% agree with that. Like I say, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt in that I think that something technical went wrong, but there's a good chance it didn't. I'm hoping for. I want to see him come out with a video where he just shreds something.
That actually would be great if if he comes out like, hey guys, sorry, I messed up a note, but watch this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I want to happen. I don't think it will.
I'm going to demonstrate this Yngwie Malmsteen solo real quick.
Yes. I apologize for my mistake, but here's something I can do, and just or just go all Chet Atkins on it and just destroy everyone.
Right. But I mean, concerning what Andy said there in his comment, I guess I can see where he's coming from. Where there's guys in Nashville who are trying to make a living who are great guitar players. Have one of those guys do it. But at the end of the day, it's a big show, and they're wanting to put on a show. And so they're probably going to put someone like Nick Jonas up there, and be like, hey, hit these 3 notes for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
I mean, who was you just mentioned his name a little bit ago when we were talking before
Lil
this
Wayne?
podcast. Lil Wayne, yeah.
Oh, now you want to talk about
Lil Wayne.
Oh yeah, Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne. Yeah.
That is an atrocity, and I won't even give him the benefit of the doubt on that. That was just him being an idiot. So,
but it's show business, I mean, somebody somewhere thought that was going to make for a good show.
Well, I guess you know what? If the goal was to get people talking about it, that worked. So, the internet blew up when it. Even non-guitar players, they were like, "What is he doing?" This is this is just an atrocity. It was bad. I've talked about this a couple times, but I still think it's really funny. Those memes that they end with stop, STAHP. Have you seen those?
No.
Okay. Well, this will make sense to you anyway. You'll still get it. It says It has Jimi Hendrix, and he says, "Lil Wayne, why are you picking up that guitar?" So, Lil Wayne, what are you doing? Lil Wayne, and then Jimi Hendrix is crying, and it says, "Stop." So they're never as funny to talk about as they are to see, but
yeah, I did it
anyway. Yeah.
Okay, so next award show, you think Nick Jonas is on it?
He probably won't be playing a guitar unless he is a secret shredder. He probably won't be playing a guitar. Just saying.
I mean, and there's all kinds of parody videos out about it too. I mean, there was a video showing the solo and the Guitar Hero screen behind it.
Yes.
Have you ever played Guitar Hero? And it shows when you hit the notes or when you miss the notes, and it showed him missing all the notes on this Guitar Hero graphic behind it. That was a well done video. That was pretty funny.
That's really funny.
But apparently, I mean, I didn't read through everything, but it looked like some people were twittering about it,
right?
Giving the old tweet some action, and he, is kind of joking around with it and taking it lighthearted. So, he's handling it well, which is cool.
And he's been in show business for quite a while at this point. He's probably been subject to worse ridicule than this. So
probably so.
Nick, good luck. You're doing better than most of us, so I guess we really should stop making fun of you.
That's true. That's true. So, okay.
And as Forrest Gump would say, that's about all I have to say about that. So.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Okay.
Maybe it's not a question, maybe it's a point. But it's from, these are some questions from the Wampler Pedals Tone group on Facebook.
Yes.
So a guy named, I think it's Vidar, Vidar, Vidar Frosten.
Okay.
Frosted from Norway. I'm not Norwegian, so I'm probably totally mispronouncing that. But anyways, in Indiana, that's how you pronounce it. How about that? He says, it's funny how much of a role your state of mind and physical state play in how you perceive things. And he goes on to talk about how he was using the same guitar and amps and everything else, but just like everything sounded bad. The same settings and everything, but it sounded bad. And I can relate to stuff like that. I mean, like there's times where like you're using everything the same and it's just like nothing's working. It just seems like everything that sounded great last night now sounds terrible. And then it's like it snowballs and messes with your head and it starts sounding even worse. Have you ever run anything like that?
Oh man, I think everyone has run into that. Like that is not at all unusual. I've had that exact experience before. I'm like, what is going on here? Like I even hit the right note, and it still sounds bad. Like I don't understand. Right. And then maybe you just swap a guitar, swap a pedal, swap an amp, maybe
Is that how you would get out of it?
I mean,
out of that rut?
I would do that. I mean, I guess I've never been in it for like an extended period of time. But when I've experienced it before, it's usually just like an evening or something, or, right. a session or whatever. And it would be like, sometimes it's as easy as swapping out a piece or or getting rid of something. If you got a large right. board, maybe it's like, maybe that particular whatever it is, that delay is not doing it for you today. You need to throw it in the garbage. Like,
I find that it can sometimes be sort of the opposite is true as well. I mean, for example, let's say I'm making some sound clips or even like breadboarding or something, and I may think, wow, this is sounding really good, and then I come back to it the next day, and it sounds totally different than what I remember. And I think that part is just like my ears adjusting to something, and I'm just getting used to hearing it, and I think it's great. And then coming back later with a fresh set of ears, I'm like, it's just, that's not it.
Oh, yeah. That's very relatable, and I think that really happens a lot in, like, the recording process. Like,
definitely.
You're in the studio, I remember things, I'm like, this is it, man. This is the bee's knees. And then I'll listen to the mix later, and, whoever's mixing it will be like, yeah, something's off here. Would you listen to this? I'm like, and I'll go back and like, oh, that's my guitar. That doesn't sound good at all. We got to redo that or add something to it or something like that. Yeah, I've definitely experienced that before.
Yeah, me as well.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So I think my advice for either of those, whether it's sounding really good or it sounds bad, is just what you said, to take a break. Like, go away from it for a while. Usually it don't take more than, like, go in the house for the night and go to sleep, come back to it the next day. You'll probably, find something else.
Kind of a hack that I like to use, I don't know if this works for everybody, but it does for me. If I just listen to different types of music, get me in different types of moods, right? So if I just listen to something, like if I just stop what I'm doing, and I have to do this while breadboarding a lot too, especially if I'm not like in the mood, but I know I have to get something done.
Yeah.
Then I'll listen to certain types of music that will get me in that mood, and kind of it changes everything for me. Anyways, I don't know if that's a good hack for everyone else, but that works for me quite a bit.
I think that works for most people who are really into music, and I think that can be applied to whether you're trying to do something creative or you're just like, I need to go get this thing done. I need to get fired up about it. What fires me up? So,
right.
Like sometimes I really like certain types of like hardcore and metal, like certain types, not all, but oftentimes when I'm like headed into work knowing that I'm going to be punished with an unnamed artist's tune about Friday nights, sometimes I'll put on like some of the most like aggressive stuff that I listen to. Like I'll put on something like I don't know if you listen to this stuff, probably not, but like Red Fang, they're a local Portland band that is they just have ripping riffs and they're pretty heavy. And The Sword, recently started listening to The Sword, who's kind of a stoner rock thing. And you know, this isn't really a heavy band, but somebody that's really been doing it for me lately is Wolf Mother. So
I was for sure you were going to say Jonas Brothers.
Okay. Yeah, the Jonas Brothers really, that's what I go to when I'm just wanting to chill. Just put on the Jonas Brothers, and it really just kind of takes my cares away.
Do you, you get yourself a good bubble bath, put candles around the tub, and listen to some soft Jonas Brothers music?
Listen to some Jonas Brothers. Think about how back when I was a 13-year-old girl, life was so hard.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was just me or if everybody did that. So I guess
that's common. That's a totally normal thing to do. And if your wife ever ridicules you about it, you say, "Hey, call Blake. He'll tell you he does it too."
I will try that next time.
Yeah, you should try that with whatever. Like anytime she's getting after you, just say, "Hey, listen, let's talk to Blake about it, and we'll sort this out."
She'll say, "Isn't that the guy that said something about $6,000 cables?"
Oh, I said it. Yeah, I did. I had something to say about that.
Yes, you did.
I guess we should give a little backstory to that, huh?
Yeah. I mean, that's you'd meant not to totally change topics there, but I just thought it'd be funny to segue that way.
Hey, that works.
Yeah, so you're telling me about these $6,000 cables that totally change everything and blow your mind.
Yeah, they blew my mind, all right. So I stumbled somewhere in the social media web across a company that makes let's not undersell it, Brian. It's a $6,600 10-foot instrument cable, right?
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Let's try to wrap our minds around that for a second. This is a standard guitar cable, like standard as in features. It's not like it's got some sort of built-in electronic wizardry into it. It's just a cable.
Sure.
And it is, let's repeat that, $6,600 US for a 10-foot guitar cable.
So I'm thinking if let's say, a hand-wired guitar pedal has, I don't know, let's say 2 feet of cable altogether. Once you chop them up in little pieces and everything, right?
Right.
Then, that means that I can see if I build that with inside of a guitar pedal. That allows me to basically make a pedal that's going to be several $1,000s.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, heck
when
yeah.
All said and done.
Well, and then you got the, let alone the components in there. Like, who knows what kind of wizardry you've concocted. If you can find magical cables, then
exactly.
I'm just saying, it's ridiculous. Like it like offended me that it even existed.
The weird thing, and I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack or slack from this.
Catch me some slack. Come on.
Exactly. You don't do it as well as the master. I would just say.
I know. I was trying. He's probably going to call me up and say, "Listen, how about you just stop?"
Cease and desist. That's mine. So
he would be pleased to know that like that has made its rounds among my friends. Like, we say that. Like,
I've heard so many people say that too. And the thing is, like, I don't think that was like ever intentional in any way. That's just Travis being silly Travis Feaster. For anyone who's like wondering what in the world we're talking about, go back to like episode 50-ish or so, maybe episode 40. And Travis, I think it was around there where Travis said, "I'm going to start a new phrase, y'all. It's just going to be, come on, hashtag CMON."
Yep.
And so from there on, he would be like, come on. Every time he wanted to make a point.
Yep.
So
it stuck. I have to say it stuck with me. I do say it on a semi-regular basis, and everyone looks at me very oddly. So back to instrument cables.
Right. So here's where I'm going to irritate a lot of people and probably get a lot of hate mail. There is difference between cables from one to another.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It's not $6,000 worth of difference. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say most people are probably using a buffer somewhere. And you're really, especially once you throw a buffer in there, you're not going to hear the difference between a $6,000 cable and a $60 cable, which is still pretty expensive for a 10-foot cable.
It is.
Like me, myself, even on our show board, I just use like $5 or $6 patch cables between stuff. Because everything's buffered. You can't tell. You cannot tell the difference.
No. Once you throw a buffer in there, everything changes. So you can feel free to correct me on this if I make a incorrect statement. But to my knowledge, on instrument cables, once it's as long as it's solidly constructed, and I'm talking say you don't have a buffer. Just say you're going straight to the amp. As long as it's solidly constructed and not going to fail on you, and it has a reasonable capacitance rating, you're good, right?
Pretty much.
There are cables that have lower capacitance ratings, and you'll hear, more highs in one that is lower because it's not acting as that filter. So there is a difference, but like you say, once you throw a buffer in there, it's over. You're done.
I would never, ever pay $6,000 for a cable. Let me take that back. No, I would. If someone gave me $6,000 and said you could only buy a cable with it,
right.
then I would do it. But if anyone else gave me $6,000, I'd probably buy a guitar and an amp,
Well, yeah, that's the joke I made is I was thinking about buying a vintage Jazzmaster, but I guess I'll buy this cable instead. No, this is ridiculous. Come on.
I always kind of default back to, is it $6,000 worth of value? Is it giving me, if I buy this cable, is it going to give me $6,000 worth of pleasure? And it just doesn't make any sort of sense to me. But then in the high-end hi-fi audio world, there's crazier things than that.
Oh, yes.
For sure,
There are.
I know there's power cables that are super expensive and supposedly sound a lot better. Some people swear by them. Some people, can't hear a difference. I haven't had any experience with that, so I can't say one way or the other.
I would like to comment on that a little bit, though, right?
Sure, go for it.
So from the power station, it travels through hundreds, if not thousands, of miles of the electricity. Travels through thousands of miles of cable. Through your wall. Now, if you're in a newish house, hopefully it's not a rat's nest of weird old crappy wiring, but it travels through this, fairly thin gauge copper cable to the outlet.
Right. The kind that you buy at, Lowe's or your favorite, building supply store for what is it, $100 for a gigantic roll or something?
Yeah, it is kind of expensive just because it's copper, but it's cheap compared to what we're talking about.
For sure.
Yeah. So it travels through, and then you telling me that last 5 feet of power cable changes everything? How?
See, that's exactly how I approach it as well. My approach is that may be true as long as your cable, your guitar amp is set up right next to the power station wherever your electric plant is, and you plug into their outlets. Maybe you'll hear a difference then.
Right.
But even then, probably not. Because I don't know. I used to build houses and stuff, and I've wired and helped wire a lot of houses, and they're not wiring it for ways that's going to improve sound or noise or anything like that. Not generally,
Correct.
Basically, they're like, all right, here's the shortest run to the fuse box, and cables are wires crossing all over each other, and it's just, I probably wouldn't spend the money for that expensive power cord either, personally.
Right. Well, even in my little jam shack, I was fortunate enough to have an electrician buddy, help me wire it up. And, we tried to we put there's a billion outlets in there because I was like, I do not want to ever be looking for a freaking power outlet. I want it to be right where I need it to be because this is a music room.
Right.
And so we put a bunch of outlets in there, and every outlet except for 2, and these are 4-box outlets, is on its own circuit breaker. Mm-hmm. Just because to try, we're doing it. I'm not paying, X amount of dollars an hour to have somebody do it. This guy's helping me out. He's like, we might as well just do it.
Yep.
And I can tell you this much, there is still noise and stuff that happens. So
yes.
This is far from high-end studio wiring, but it's better than most houses. And I just can't imagine that kind of stuff helping. So.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. I had a point and I was sit there and I totally lost it.
Uh-oh.
I know what it was. Okay. So I had a customer, this has been a while back, who was complaining about noise issues. Mm-hmm. I was like, my amp, everything's so noisy, especially when I apply any overdrive pedals.
Yeah.
And I may have talked about this before. And through the course of troubleshooting, sending pedals back and forth and stuff, we found out that, the laundry room was right behind the room he was in. And it was just being roughly off the same circuit. It was, with the dryer and stuff, it was causing problems. It was causing noise problems, Well, that was an expensive lesson.
Yeah, that is a very expensive lesson. And that's a really good point that you brought up because I was just thinking about a friend of mine has a really, really nice studio that he just finished building last year. And, he put a lot of research and a lot of effort into making things as clean and from the wiring perspective, well, from every point in the build. But he did it his absolute best to make it the best he could do. Mm-hmm. And we were playing in there and we're like, there's a weird noise coming through. How in the world, what is this weird noise? And it wasn't until a couple weeks ago that another friend of mine was there trying to help him troubleshoot it. They found out it was his invisible electric dog fence that goes around his property. And the studio is quite a ways. It's it's not right there on the edge of his property. It's fairly far away. I would have never imagined that was the problem, but yeah.
I probably wouldn't have been able to figure out that problem either. That's crazy.
Yeah. So.
But had he had a $6,000 power cord to plugging the wireless fence in, he wouldn't have had that problem.
That right. It would have been fine. It would have been no problem whatsoever. So, for more thoughts on this, here we go. I'm shameless plugging right now. Sure. There's a article on Tonemob.com, and it goes into depth. It's not very far back. It's called A Word About Power Cables or something like that. I can't remember what I called it, but there's an article on there.
There's an article that has something to do with power cables. I don't know where it's at or what the name of it is, but just trust me, it's on there.
I'll put a link on the Facebook group or somewhere if people want to find it. Message me. I'll send you there. I don't have a computer wired to my arm like we were talking about earlier. But it and it's not. I didn't write this info. The man behind Intex Cables, actually, who's been an engineer for 30 plus years and wired high end studios and done all kinds of crazy electrical stuff, wrote these points for me, and I kind of edited them together to make them an article, and they're very interesting.
So you plagiarized. That makes sense.
No. I had him do it for me. I messaged him, and
I'm teasing.
I plagiarized other things.
Plagiarized lots of stuff, but that wasn't one of them.
No, that one was legit.
All right, man. So with that, I'm gonna call it a day.
Okay, we can do that.
You got any closing thoughts?
My closing thoughts are Nick Jonas is a millionaire, and we're not, so he can do whatever he wants, I guess. I don't know. I tried to come up with something witty, but I kind of failed.
Okay, so I have one.
Okay.
Maybe he needed a G bender in a Telecaster. Maybe that was the problem.
Right.
Maybe he thought he was going to bend it, and there's no G bender, and he's like, crap.
You know what?
That's
I think you figured it out. He hit the note and he was going to bend into it.
Yep.
And he's like, wait, wrong guitar.
There's no bender in this one. Oh no! And I'm on live TV. See, I'm just saying, G benders save lives. That's all I'm saying.
That's what the name of this episode's going to be. G benders save lives. Perfect.
All right, man. So if anyone out there has any questions, make sure you shoot an email to podcast@wamplerpedals.com. Check out our Facebook group, Wampler Pedals Tone Group. You can also hit us up on Snapchat. Mine happens to be Brian Wampler is my name. What's your name on the Snapchats?
My name on the Snapchats is the Tonemob, and I've been getting on there a lot more lately, and I'm going to start doing some, trying to do as much interesting guitar-related things as I can, so.
Okay, if you will, can you not do it in your underwear anymore? It's just disturbing.
I thought that was interesting. That's what I meant by interesting.
I didn't dig that one. No.
Well, I mean, hey, Silence of the Lambs had some, weird stuff in it, and that was an Oscar-winning film, so I figure why not try to replicate it?
All right, sure. So they can also check out the Tonemob podcast, and you're on Tinder now as well, right?
Swipe left.
Swipe left if you like. Swipe right if you don't.
No, I'm not. Oh, jeez.
Your wife is gonna hate me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a Tonemob podcast, so look it up. You'll find it.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
And I'm on all that other social media stuff too. The same stuff that Brian's on, so you can find me there. It's all the Tonemob.
The Tonemob. It's that way across all platforms, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. There we go. All right, man. It's been great. We'll talk to you next week.